Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
More than 200 animators and programmers. A multi-million-dollar production. Over 2 years in the making. And a cast of thousands. They said it couldn't be done in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII.
PlayStation.
I mean, Diddy did it.
I mean, we'll just start from that quote. Yeah, it's wild, man. I don't know. There's something weird about people that get so uber rich where it becomes like a power thing, where I feel like this story's played out so many times. Epstein did it. Diddy was doing Epstein shit, apparently. This whole thing has blown up. I guess it's been something that's like a cauldron that's been bubbling for decades, I guess, that I was unaware of. But it seems like Diddy's he's on the lam, I think, but the motherfucker, the shit's going down, Steve.
Man, you remember Juice is on the loose, how that was a slogan? We need one for Diddy. Diddy is on the giddy.
Dude. I don't know. I mean, maybe we could search it on our phones and see. I think somebody saw him in like Miami, but yeah, dude, it's strange. And there's a lot of allegations. I've heard an audio tape that scarred me for life that I don't even know if it was what people were claiming it was, but the audio of him drilling somebody they claim is a prominent rapper, but that's alleged. And there's a lot more of that. I watched like
wait, they played the audio.
I listened to it on like it was being played on a podcast that I was listening to, and they were commenting on it. But I heard you could hear it, and I bet if we search, you can find that audio. But it's insane. Sounds very violent.
And Puffy was doing this prominent rapper.
And you hear that, like the sounds of the fucking, and then you hear what sounds like somebody groaning and I would assume pain, saying things that related to that. And I don't know, dude. It's like it's audio, so who goddamn knows? But this is one of those things where where there's smoke, there's fire, and apparently there's been a shit ton of smoke. Again, I live in a bubble. I'm not that into music, and I tend to just disregard shit when it just seems like a shit talking video online. But I've now watched 50 Cent have at least 15 videos talking about this shit in the past.
Well, his baby mom is involved because I guess she was helping Diddy with his sex trafficking, or she was a part of it. She was out here hoeing on the stroll, the celebrity stroll. You know, maybe money makes you a sexual deviant when you get too much of it.
I think what happens is it does that clearly because this is just like a thing. All these ultra rich people are getting together and having these fuck parties. It's not just in rap. We heard about the shit with the Epstein, you know, and crazy just Hollywood parties in general. That's a rumor. But then you get to a level where you're doing that so goddamn much that apparently what I think happens is all these ultra rich people start realizing, well, maybe one person recorded something I did on a phone. And then they get in their head that they have to do that to everybody else, because that's the thing that was weirding me out is like he's having people tape, he's like amassing tapes that you'd think would be incriminating, but it's almost like he's keeping them so other people don't tell on him. You know, It seems very bizarre, but I mean, I didn't see it coming, but it's out there now. And I'm just wondering, do you think he's going to get arrested, or do you think he's just going to pull a Claude Rains, Steve, and just be Diddy in the city someplace, just hiding? constantly.
The diddler is on the loose, man, telling everybody to take that. Yeah. There's a picture of him and Vince McMahon, and like, add your comments and captions however you may.
There's a lot of, once you paint it like this and you have all these like people talking about it, when you see all these old ass photos, there's just an interview he did with, I don't even remember who it was, but in the background of the Zoom video was like 5 just like young dudes. Like it wasn't even nobody famous. It was just like guys hanging out in his like office while he's having this interview, but they were like young. It's like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? What's going on, dude?
I've been skeptical about dude for decades, man. Like, look at every guy or girl who signed a bad boy. It just doesn't end well. You die, you go to jail, or you just turn into religion, like a religious zealot or something.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Yeah, hell yeah, Shine. I mean, he had to go to jail for dude.
Yeah, he's an Hasidic Jew now. He's got the little curly Q joints.
Damn, you know what? I didn't realize because they showed a photo of him. I guess it was recent, and I just was like, "Oh, that's not." That must have been
Photoshop.
I didn't want to say his lawyer, but I was just like, "It's not Shine." Like,
can't be.
No, I mean it's wild, dude. Dude's fucking. He's fucked. So a lot of shit's gonna come out about him. It seems like. Because now it's like the floodgates are open. Whatever was holding back that shit, that's my thing. It's like, if this is all going on for this long, what the fuck? And that has to be that thing where he has like tapes of people. So people, even if he's like doing them dirty and people are getting pissed off at him, he's like, look, you can fucking be pissed, but if you say anything, all this shit that I have a whole fucking file of you. You don't even want the audio to get out.
Not only that, man, he's never been touched. He's screwed over so many artists, so many people who weren't even signing him. He's pissed off other celebrities. I've never seen a viral clip of him getting knocked out. So that tells you something else, man, that like, not only does he have that kind of leverage, but he must have some tough people around him because Puffy's not known for being a tough person.
Well, I mean, some of this shit is like, and that was like a rumor for a while that he tried to blow up dude's car. What was the dude? Kid Cudi's
Kid Cudi.
And that's one thing. It's like a lot of violence has happened around that dude. Obviously, Shine went to jail because of people getting shot and him having to take the fall allegedly for Puffy actually doing the shooting. And also, he's like, Puffy's now, or somebody is like, they're getting like J-Lo incriminated in some of it, like at least like dragging her name through the dirt because she was affiliated with dude for a while. So, man, it don't pay to be friends with that dude now. Everybody's going down.
She saw something early on and decided to just skedaddle, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's there's a lot of people that you just see those videos where people are like, yeah, man, like, tell me about Puffy's parties. And I'm like, man, shit, I went home after a certain, I went like 10:30, I left. Shit gets weird.
Yeah. Or they'll say something like, yeah, I went, man, but like, I remember hearing these sounds when I walked past this one room. And I just figured, man, yeah, it might be time to head back home. But
well, didn't I mean, famously, Cat Williams had that bit in one of his older, like I think the Pimp Chronicles, where he's like, man, you go to Hollywood parties and you're walking around hallways and looking at doors, and you're like, is that Mr. Whatever?
Mr. Ogilvy? But dude, I watched Vlad TV, and like about a year or so ago, he interviewed Aaron Hall. You know who Aaron Hall is, right? He's like a early 90s, late 80s R&B singer. He's got some tracks that you've heard.
Yeah,
that we
it sounds familiar, man. For sure, yeah.
And he was talking about his baby mom in the interview, talking about how like he was fucking her, and like how like all of these people were there watching him fuck. He was like, yeah, ask Puffy. He know how I fuck. And like he had no Aaron Hall, maybe this is an industry thing. Like some of that shit people say about the industry might be true, because he had no qualms telling Vlad this. Like, oh yeah, Casey and JoJo, yeah, they was there. Ask them. They know how I like to fuck.
They had opera glasses. They got a real good look.
A standing ovation and everything. Shit, I like to try it out in public. Like, okay, Aaron Hall.
I mean, he had Aaron Hall. I heard Albie Schure's somehow involved in some shit too. He was saying some shit about Puffy, trying to say something happened. I don't know.
Well, his son was like adopted by Puffy. Quincy Shore.
Okay, now explain that, because I guess I just didn't know about that.
Well, not adopted, but like they share baby moms, right? Kim
Okay.
Porter, I believe, was the baby mom. I might be getting them mixed up, but they share baby moms. And Albie Shore, when his son was born, he was being Albie Shore, doing his thing, whatever. Along the way, the baby mom, she meets Puffy, and they have a child or couple. And while she's with Puffy, he basically kind of took him on, and they kind of garnered a relationship as the kid grew up, because that's who Puffy was with for the most part as Quincy was growing up. So
Damn.
when it comes to the kids, like none of them have really spoken out, besides just like defending their dad. But
well, they're
man.
named in some of the crimes. Like the people going over the legal documents, I guess their sons are also like implicated in whatever the fuck the allegations are. So you can't, like, it's just a crazy thing. We're not making fun of it, but it's wild. This same sort of similar story keeps happening at these high levels in movies, music, politics. It's weird. The money's that big, you might want to not go to the party, because it seems like some crazy, weird shit's going on that you don't want to have any part of.
Man, fuck that. I'm making fun of it. Shit. Ask Diddy. He know how I like to fuck. He know how I fuck.
Man, I was giving it a full stroke. He saw it all. He got right down to the pipe.
I can't feel sorry, man. You screwed over way too many people, and karma will always spin the block.
I mean, it's done. I mean, even if he doesn't get charged with actual crimes or whatever they're saying, like legally, the reputation's is fucked. He's fucked. It's out there now. I feel like 99% of people that are hearing all this shit believe what people are saying. So, it is what it is. And now, unfortunately, for all these other guys that kind of knew him and were like, I guess, co-signing him or just involved or got like success through him, you're getting fucked too. Everybody's getting. I don't think Meek Mill likes to hear all this shit.
Man, he flew on a jet himself and got the hell out of America when all this stuff was hitting the fan, man. But yeah, I know some of the people that he screwed over. They're loving this, man. All of those making the band people, they're like, yes,
yeah,
our day
absolutely. Well, all the people that just like were just like in any part of this, the parties, any of it. I mean, the one guy that was like a producer that it seemed like he was just paid to be Diddy's bitch. I forget the guy's Little something. I forget what his actual name is, but dude was just like not being paid. He was producing beats, and he had just had to go with places with Diddy, and Diddy's like, yo, man, give me some hookers so I can fuck them in front of somebody or make somebody. It's like, man, what kind of life is it? Can I at least get some bread? Like, that guy was just like literally his unpaid, like, maitre d' basically for pussy, it seemed like. I don't get it, dude. Like, why were you just there? Little Rod, there you go.
And the fact that his name is Lil Rod, that doesn't help matters at all. Ask Lil Rod. He know how I like to fuck. He seen me fuck.
Well, what a weird thing to say in an interview, though. Like, unsolicited. Had they said anything about any of that, Steve, other than just like a party? Like, what was the lead in?
Vlad didn't ask him anything that suggests any of that. I think Aaron Hall just decided to walk Vlad down closer to that area so he can give him that answer.
Damn. Well, there you go, Steve. He know.
Yeah. Ask Al B. Shore. He know how I like to fuck.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos fresh days. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Tommy Pickles t-shirts and your Tommy Boy tapes and flip up your cup and throw your hands up and let me hear your party say, I'm kind of buzzed and it's all because happened in the 90s. South Central doesn't like nobody does. Happen in the 90s for all my day.
That little, you were hitting it, Steve. You were hitting the notes. I like that. That was 90. That was 100%. Montel couldn't do it any better than that.
Ever since I was a little Steve G, but now I'm a big G. Cause see, we got the money. Dollar bills, y'all. Well,
Oh,
here we
man.
are. April 4th already, man. April.
April, dude. It's spring has sprung, Steve.
Jeez. What's going on, man? It's gonna be 2027 before we know it. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things April 4th in the 90s. Starting off in 1992, TBS is airing its afternoon/early evening World Championship Wrestling program WCW Saturday night for the first time.
TBS. This was on TBS. This was like a
this was
special
their
treat, Steve. This was something that we didn't get for like now. There's it seems like there's wrestling on all week, but this dude on a nice Saturday night, just with a nice McDonald's Happy Meal, maybe chilling.
taking some breaks from the N64, the Super Nintendo, what have you.
I got my guys next to me just hanging out. My WCW guys just waiting. Maybe I'll continue the story I see on WCW Saturday Night. But who was the main event of the first episode?
Ironically, the main event in the first Saturday night WCW program was Steve Austin defeating the Z-Man in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WCW World Television title, man. And
Z-Man.
that, Stone Cold, that's one of the guys that helped kill WCW.
Bringing him up. But I mean, they fucked him, Steve.
They fucked him.
They didn't like stunning Steve. So he had to fucking cut those locks and stun his way to fucking superstardom. But I mean, that's crazy though. That is wild where it's like a guy that great. It's like you think he'd be to make anything work, but it just took some time. He had to get fucking nice and rowdy, get a couple more Steve Weisers in him.
It's kind of like he needed that. It's like the old adage about Michael Jordan not making the varsity team. You know, maybe he needed to get cut. Maybe Steve Austin needed to get fired via fax.
I like that
voicemail,
story.
however it was.
Yeah, you got to go through something. You got to build yourself back up. Get those clippers out and just that's the montage. That's the first part of it.
Builds
like
character.
You got to fucking do this, Steve. This is it.
And he's better off for it. In that following year, When a Stranger Calls Back airs on Showtime. It's a TV movie. A young babysitter all alone in the house with 2 children asleep above is bothered by a stranger. Unfortunately, the phone's dead. Directed by Fred Walton, starring Carol Kane, Charles Durning, and Jill Sholin.
Seems pretty classic storyline here. Nothing to, I mean, this isn't like, whoa, I'm seeing a blank face here. This gets a little creepy, Steve.
Yeah, it does get creepy. And apparently this is a sequel. Carol Kane was in the original, When a Stranger Calls. And the guy behind me, this is him doing some kind of ventriloquist act. And then, as you would imagine, it's very creepy. And he is the guy that is like antagonizing our main character. He's making phone calls. He knows her whereabouts. This is like a screen before screen.
So this is the one where she calls the cops and they're like, it's coming from inside the house. Is it like that? Is that where this comes from?
I don't know if that stems from this, but that kind of happened because she's babysitting in the first scene. And, you know, this guy's trying to get some help for his car. She's not opening the door. She's a babysitter and, you know, it's a man. So, you know, she don't know what he's capable of. And she goes up to check on the kids. They're gone.
Kids? I mean, that's babysitting 101. You fucked up. Time to run. You got to run those charges, bitch.
But Carol Kane, though, Carol Kane in the end, she gives this motherfucker a swift Bruce Leroy kick. Patrick Swayze would be proud.
Damn, okay. She roadhouses him like down the steps, or how does she kill this motherfucker, Steve?
No, just straight up in the face, but he ends up getting blasted by this guy. Like right after he catches the kick to the face, the guy comes in. I think he was a cop. He comes in and just blasts dude.
Click, click, boom. What's up with the fucking. So this is a puppet behind you in this image.
Yeah, that was his shtick for this talent show. Like he was doing it at a stripper, at a strip bar.
That's okay. Add another layer of what the fuck to this. Sure.
Yeah,
Ventriloquist act at a strip club. You're gonna get killed. I feel like.
yeah. You know who probably didn't watch this in 1993 though, Matthew?
Me, but who else, Steve? Just check.
You and the Hulkster, brother, because WWF is airing WrestleMania 9 live from the Caesar Palace in Las Vegas. Of that.
WrestleMania 9. I'm trying to do the math here. Okay, obviously Hulkster's heavy in this. Who is he fighting? This isn't one of the Ultimate Warriors, is it?
Oh no, Ultimate Warrior's gone by this point. Hulkster, this is his first time back. He took a little hiatus, and he's tagging up with Brother Brutai. And they just recently did a 30 for 30 on Brutus Barber Beefcake's parasailing accident. It fucked up his face. And if you could see about just behind me, oh, it did, man. He had to get reconstructive surgery and everything. But if you could see, the Hulkster's got a shiner, and it's been debated where his stems from, whether he was with him on the jet ski or whatever, or was he socked by Macho Man? Because that's been a rumor. Because Macho Man, he was always like stressed out about Elizabeth. He's always like keeping a close eye on her, and he was thinking that when they split up, Hogan was pounding her, and so like, the word that they put out there is that like Macho Man sneak attacked him.
I like that more because it doesn't involve Brutus the Barber Beefcake getting mangled. And also it tracks because, I mean, I don't want to besmirch the Hulkster, but he has banged some of his buddies' wives. You know what I'm saying? Bubba the Love Sponge, his wife got a couple of prayers and vitamin mixes in there. I mean, she took a couple, but I love that. I love that idea that Macho Man just fucking said he Hulkster and just fucking belted him right in the fucking face. I love that.
Yeah, come to the corner. Come here, man. Come around the corner with me. I got a word to have with you.
You touch her again, I'll kill you, man. Yeah. Just walks
the
away.
lust in your eyes. I can see it, Hogan.
You're not gonna drop that third leg on my wife again, Hogan, you son of a bitch. That's crazy though. And also, so Brutus the Barber Beefcake is in this match, and how long ago was this accident that you're talking about? Like, how long did that take for him to get back?
It was recent because Beefcake and Hogan, neither of them were on the roster at the time. So, like I said, Hogan had took a year off. I don't know how far back it was before this WrestleMania, but they were tagged up against Money Inc. And Ted DiBiase, yeah, he's wearing that white suit that you dislike so much. He's wearing the alternative.
Boo! He looks like a reverend in a fucking really luxurious church in Las Vegas.
And they end up like they were the tag team champs, and Money Inc. They kept the belts because I think it was a disqualification. Hogan hit him with the IRS's briefcase, and so they were disqualified. But we got to hear that Hogan music. Got to hear that Hogan music, man. It's 93.
Bam, 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 bam. America versus the IRS, Steve. We're all for that.
But the main event was Bret Hart, the defending champion, versus Yokozuna. And, this whole event was a shit show. Yokozuna, he ends up winning by cheating. Mr. Fuji threw some salt in Bret's eyes as he's applying the sharpshooter to those thick ass thighs. And so,
how do you get this motherfucker in the sharpshooter, Steve? He's gotta suck it in. Those thighs are just too thick.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna work either way, man. But so like shortly after Yokozuna wins the belt, Hulk Hogan he comes down in the match that's not even his, and he's like, "No, this isn't fair." Blah 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 blah. And Mr. Fuji's talking shit to Hogan. Oh yeah, we'll take on any challenger. You come on, you yellow Betty. Blah blah blah. So as he's like walking Bret Hart back down, he's like, "No, no, brother. You know what, Bret? Is it okay if I? All right, fine." So
This
he
one's
comes
for
in
North America, bro.
for real. And he comes in there and Yokozuna, he's got him tied up and Fuji's about to throw some salt in his face. Hogan moves. Yokozuna, he's just catches a clothesline from those 36, 48-inch pythons, whatever, and gets the atomic leg drop. And within like a minute, Hogan becomes the champ again.
Come on, Hogan. You had to kick Brett to the side to fucking get. Come on, I don't like that. It seems a little
And Brett's still
rash.
salty about that. I one of the main wrestling podcasts I listen to is Bruce Pritchard. He used to be Brother Love. It's
Hell
called
yeah.
Something to Wrestle With. And they have this phrase, Hogan must pose. And, Bruce Pritchard, he's one of Vince's like henchmen. He was the writer, the booker, and all of that. And in these early 90s, late 80s stages, whenever there's a pay-per-view, Hogan needs to be at the end, whether win, lose, draw. We need to hear that fucking "I am a real American."
I mean, it just made you feel good inside, you know? Even when I hear it now, I'm like, I want to hear like see an eagle flying over me, or so I just look up to the sky. But I mean, I dug it. Now as an adult, I kind of think it's some bullshit because Bret Hart, let him put in a fucking sharpshooter in those little chubby little thighs. Yokozuna, I just never, Steve. The man might have some lineage. I think he's like part. Isn't he part of like his family is somewhat?
The Rock and
Yeah.
yeah, all those
Okay.
guys, Roman Reigns and
Yeah.
Usos.
But I just having a gigantic wrestler where all they can do is tip over, it just doesn't fucking like it just never works. It's surprising they did it for so long.
Well, I respect him now because he does more than that. He's not just a lumbering guy. If you watch some of his clips, man, he was doing some off the ground moves for somebody that size.
Like what?
Uh, he would do what is it called when the enziguri? No, he wasn't doing the enziguri, but
Didn't he do like a karate kick or something? Like, didn't he try to throw a little martial arts? Maybe I'm being racist as
a,
fuck, but I feel like he
a,
did.
a little bit. Well, he's Samoan, so that's not racist anyway. But I can't pinpoint actual move set, but like there were some things that I'm clocking now as an adult that I overlooked because of my pure hatred for all the heels at the time. It's like for like a 400, 500 plus person, like the fact that you can pull that off, like it's kind of like Bam Bam Bigelow. Like some of the stuff he did probably wouldn't be as impressive if it was like Sean Waltman, X Pac.
But
The
he
fact
was
that he's
going off the top rope and shit. I mean, Yokozuna, the only thing I can come to mind is maybe second rope, dropping an ass on
well,
somebody. That.
Well, yeah, he's not. Yeah, he ain't coming off the top rope getting the elbow drops. But anyway, like this whole event, it's considered one of the worst WrestleManias. This is their first time being outside for WrestleMania. But something important, and I kind of felt this was symbolic, was this was Jim Ross's first event. He was with the company from this point on up until like the 2010s. And now he's with AEW, man. And this is one of Bobby Heenan's last. I think this was his last WrestleMania, one of his last pay-per-views, and I found it symbolic, like it was a changing of the guard. Gorilla Monsoon was there, but he wasn't at the table because Jim Ross would eventually take his spot at Gorilla Monsoon's suggestion because he was getting older. He wanted to spend time with his family, health issues. So he was more behind the scenes. But yeah, man, seeing Jim Ross next to Bobby Heenan, man, that I found that kind of valuable.
Damn, it didn't last long, but that is dope. That's a great combination.
You know what I mean? And that same day, I bet you don't know who watched that. 1993,
I don't, Steve. I don't.
probably American game designer Alfred Mosher Butts. Want to know which game he invented?
I don't know. Like Kerplunk, Steve? I don't know.
Alfred Mosher Butts, he invented the Scrabble board.
Damn. You know what's sad though? I wonder if he got paid. He didn't get any residual off that. This guy just is a genius. And I gotta say, that and Monopoly, those are the two games where you might get in a fucking real deep argument with somebody you love when you're playing it. You know?
Relationships might get ended, man.
Especially because I live with somebody who doesn't acknowledge sometimes, like, they think a word that they've made up and used their whole life is actually a word. You know, like if you said dindy and put that on the board, we can't count that, Steve. Do I want to? Yes, but we can't, you know. But when you live with somebody like that who's delusional, Kendra, I love you, you get in some fights. Okay? So avoid it at all costs.
It's the us. It is they said it on Seinfeld.
Look it up. Get the fucking dictionary. Just use your phone.
R.I.P. Alfred Butts. Unfortunate last name. But that following year, 94, Beavis and Butt-Head is airing 1-900 Beavis. Beavis and Butt-Head discover the joys of a phone sex hotline.
I think we all did, Steve. I mean, this is a question I wanted to pose to you for this. Like, as a little kid, whenever you knew these things were a thing, 1-800 fat girls, 1-800 whatever girls, did you ever try calling? Did you ever move past just the initial give it a call and see what happens?
I'm sure I tried. I'm sure I tried. I don't think I ever actually got through.
Initiated it to like payment and actually talk to somebody. Absolutely not. You couldn't do that. But it was hot to call like when you were real little, like 10, and it's like, hey there, this is 1-800 big girls. We're here to talk naughty. It's like, that's all you got, but that's all you needed. You were at like a payphone in a Pizza Hut, like, dude, it's a fucking chick, bro.
This is really Jenna Jameson? Oh,
Dude, call it back. 1-800 fat chicks, call it. Yeah, I remember, that was a thing, man. But the reality of what phone sex really is, I think, you know, if you want to talk realism, it's hard to in Beavis and Butt-Head. I don't think it's a realistic thing, but I think the depiction of what they show as the reality of phone sex, 100% accurate. 100%.
I mean, I was naive. I really thought it was those girls. As a kid, I did.
Hey, I love the party chat lines that they had at like too, because that wasn't phone sex. That was the assumption that you were calling like some sort of a group line that you're just gonna meet somebody on the phone. It's not some gross prostitute or some chick eating popcorn while she's cutting her toenails, you know. It might not even be a chick.
Girl.
It might not even be a chick, Steve. It might be me. It might have been. I did this for a while. No.
Sassy. You had to sass it up.
Hey, sailor, what you working with? You want to know what I'm wearing?
He's like, I'm into really just old fucking apartment manager vibe. That's what I want. That's when I would get sent to. Those are my guys, too.
Bus drivers. And this episode starts off with Beavis and Butt-Head. They're just flipping through channels, and they come across these ads like back to back to back. The first one is 1-800 no hair for us baldies. The next one is, do you want to be a court judge on TV? There's a hotline for that. And then next one is a sex hotline, 1-900 lick.
Hey, and I mean, this was how they got you, Steve. I mean, I don't know how many people took it to actually getting charged. That took balls because you needed a credit card. I don't think you could just go through it, but man, when I was like 10, so badly wanted to just call one of these hotties that were just waiting to just tell you what they were wearing.
Grandma, what's your credit card number? What? Why you want my credit? I need to talk to the Ninja Turtles.
Because I don't remember, this is how old this technology is. I don't remember if at the point of initiation that you just had to hit like a digit and it was like hit 9 on the phone right now and go into the private, you know, I don't remember what it was because I think maybe you didn't even need that. Like it would just be a charge that showed up on the phone bill where You know, at the end of the month, they're like, $2,000 for what?
And it's very generic. It's not even specifying what it was. It just telemarket.
Yeah, it's USA chat. What is this? So they're locked in, Steve. They got a call. So they get on the phone, but as they get on the phone, we cut to the first video, which I think is a band called Eve's Plum.
Yeah.
And it's the song's called Blue. I don't remember this song. Beavis and Butthead just really are just talking about the lead singstress, and how her lack of, or her abundance of clothing, I guess, not lack of clothing. They want her to be naked, and maybe it would make it better.
He's wearing too many clothes. Did she say erection? This video's been on for 2 minutes and she's still not naked.
At least her face is naked.
All chicks' faces are naked, Beavis. Oh, yeah.
So back to Beavis and Butthead, and they're just giggling still because they've called the phone sex line, and the chick on the other side of the phone sex line is, we'll call her Melba. She looks like Gilbert Grape's mom. She's got a couple of dudes in the room with her looking real salty. There's like a real methy vibe going on here. But Beavis and Butthead, they're just enjoying no conversation. They're giggling, and she's just like, hey. No, actually, she has a sexy voice. That's the thing. She's tricking. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to talk or?
Yeah, but don't use our real names. Okay, I'm Beavis, and he's Butthead. Yeah, me too.
I like that Beavis really, most of this whole conversation, or when they cut to him, is just like, he's just like a deer in headlights the whole time. It's so sexy. But I think she's like, do you want me to do anything? And they're like, yeah, put the phone up to your butt. And she does, Steve.
Hey, Beavis, I think I just inoculated. Whoa, I can hear butt.
Shout out to the guy who's only wearing pink granny panties and a hat. Just
I think that's her
locked in.
husband or boyfriend.
He looks like the one of the Kang Hills buddies, the one that has the son, the Indian son.
The conspiracy theorist. Yeah, he does. It's like he gets a lot of his like early idea. I feel like, you know, these are some of these characters on Beavis and Butthead like would go on to be in King of the Hill or Daria.
Yeah.
But was Daria Mike Judge?
Yeah, I mean, it had to have been, right? I don't know. Maybe he didn't make it like completely. I don't know if he wrote it. Maybe he did. Shit. Good question.
Yeah, that's something I never thought about.
Came from his fucking brain, if nothing else. So the lady puts the phone next to her ass, and it just kind of, they all settle into like a nice like rhythm here. And then we cut to the morning. Phone's still firmly up this lady's ass, and Beavis and Butthead just kind of listening in. You know, whatever charge this is, I think it was like a minute-to-minute charge. These guys they're in hefty. This is getting pretty crazy, Steve.
And the phone is still up her butt. The next day, like her son who's standing next to her is like, hey ma, it's your sex ad, because I guess that same commercial came up. Shut up.
She realizes the phone's in there, and she's like, pulls it out. I'm like, wait, and they're still there. She's like, wait, are you still here? Like, she's even surprised. But I love that she's like, you guys pay so much for this. You guys should start your own 900 number. What a weird, like, I mean, pay for a hooker. That's more of what I get. I don't understand starting your own small business, Steve.
But they're not, yeah, logic, yeah, that missed them. And so they go to a company called Central Telephone, and they're like, we want to get like our own phone number. Yeah, we want to meet chicks and score.
What is your current income? 6. Okay, we're gonna mark you down as low income. Okay.
Well, what about education? Let's just say 3rd grade.
Okay, well, you know, when you're starting a business, guys, you want to offer something that's useful to the customer. So, would you say that you offer something useful to your client?
No.
No. Okay, I think we got everything we need here. Great. uh, then he's the guy. I mean, the guy's great. I mean, if this is your business loan officer, this is the guy you want because he's ready to go. The loan, all you got to do is fill this paperwork out. Fortunately, that paperwork is pretty hefty. Beavis and Butthead are like, you know what? We're gonna go to somebody else's house and just use their phone. This is too much. And then we cut to one of the most horniest videos I've ever seen, Steve, except for what that thing smell like. This Barry White song.
Put me in your mix. Yeah.
And can I just say that Barry White's hair and this, I don't, maybe it's changed. Maybe it changed over the years, but this like mullety, just almost Rick Rudish-esque haircut that he has, silky smooth. And I wish that I could have something like this.
It was always like that. And I think this is like the horniest dude that ever lived. Yeah, he should wear one of those Viking helmets with horns on it.
It's horny.
Beavis, you're a weirdo, Beavis.
Yeah, and also just the use of just like neon. I love like the touch of neon green in his suit and stuff. He's a sexual being, Steve. My darling, I can't get enough of you. Is that him? Can't get enough of your love, baby. Is that it?
Can't get enough of your love, baby.
So yeah. Yeah, well, he's horny, and he's getting them horny. But luckily, the video ends before that comes to a head. And we cut back to the trailer of, we'll call her Melba. We're not giving a name here. They call her again, but again, they found another house. Maybe they did a B&E to call this phone sex line, but they're calling her back. And this time we get a real good look at Melba. We get a nice like close up of the legs. There's a lot of hair there, a lot of corns on those toes. Maybe she has gout. She looks like a woman or individual that might have gout, has some urine in those feet. So I don't know. She's tough. Times are tough.
And like the next video is "Kiss Your Lips" performed by Low Pop Suicide. Outside of Barry White, I haven't heard of any of these other acts.
Well, the lead singer of this band looks like he's dying. He looks insane. But this video is also extremely horny. And I feel like it has like these quick blink and you miss them moments where at one point I was like, is there a chick about to give a dude a beach? Like, I think I saw that. Like, she's undoing his pants and on her knees. There was that. There's two chicks kissing that Beavis and Butthead just are locked into.
Well, Butthead was locked in, and Beavis was too busy talking because Butthead, he clocked his like, oh my God, like it stopped him in his thoughts because he was like, I'm sick of videos. They always have these moving camera. Oh, and then he sees the chicks kissing, and Beavis is like, well, what happened? You missed it. And then something else happens with two chicks, and this time Beavis clocks it.
Two chicks, Steve. That's the dream. And again, very horny videos. We see Barry White getting people horny, and then this is the aftermath. People are horny. They're doing stuff. They're getting together.
It's turning out to be cool.
Top. I gotta say.
They must be Libyans.
Labians. Hey-o. But I think that's it, Steve. I mean, we end on a horny note, but Low Pop Suicide. If nothing else, check it out because you're going to see some stuff.
Man, was that off the top? I like that Labians, man. I like that better than this Low Pop Suicide.
It just came off the dome, but I love that. That's wordplay. You're welcome.
But man, yeah, dude, I'm so proud. But I bet you don't know this. Who watched this in 1994?
Why are you yelling at me? Steve, what did I do?
I'm pissed now. But no, I'll tell you, Matt. 1994, Corliss Williamson wasn't watching. Scotty Thurman wasn't watching. Nolan Richardson wasn't watching 1-900 Beavis because in the 56 NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, Arkansas beats Duke 76-72.
First title. Bill Clinton. Clinton was going. Arkansas was just hot, Steve.
Maybe he fixed it.
He did. He put them razorback. He got on those razorbacks. Got him a little trim on the side. But I remember this. This was a big deal. I remember like them winning. It was like Arkansas won. What the fuck?
Arkansas. What the fuck? They beat Duke.
Yeah.
Where's bring back Christian Leitner? But Corliss Williamson, he had a pretty successful NBA career, man. He was on those 2004 Pistons team or on that team.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's my favorite because I was locked into basketball at the time. Love that. That's one of my favorite basketball teams. Obviously, we love the Chicago Bulls and stuff, but that Pistons team, dope. Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Big Ben.
And plus we have buddies from like born and raised in Toledo, and you know a lot of those guys grew up being Pistons fans. They kind of side with the Michigan shit because you know of the programming and the region and all that. I get it, but you know I shared in my friend's joy. One of my good friends who I was living with when they won, Josh Brown, who's you know a Toledoan through and through, man. Just seeing that and the fact that they were able to beat those Lakers with Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone. With the working man's team. And Corliss Williamson, sidetrack Sally, he was on that team, man. Like just like a lot of great role players. But yeah, Arkansas, they would actually come back that following year, 95, in the Final Four, but would lose to North Carolina, Duke's rival. And that was with Rasheed Wallace, ironically, and Jerry Stackhouse.
Damn. Speaking of stacked, that was the team. Man, Corliss Williamson though, shout out. And if he's part of that Pistons team, then I love him.
Salute, man. That following year, 1995, Sugar Ray releases Lemonade and Brownies.
I just want to fly.
And I'll be real with you, man. I don't really mess with Sugar Ray because I always like discounted them as like a Smash Mouth poppy, like you know, cover bandish like vibe. But listening to this, like I was surprised, man. They actually have like rock, like hard rock. It's like, is this still Mark McGrath, the pretty motherfucker?
I'll throw a couple
Like-
at you. I didn't buy this,
Like-
but I had a couple of buddies that had it. So yeah, there was a couple there where he was like, this isn't that cheesy like pop rock that you thought it was.
This album wasn't bad, man. And like after listening to this, now I kind of look at them as like a house band at a poppin' club where they could play some rock depending on the audience, or they could play some funk, some so like you know, because it had like the bass player was doing his thing for Sugar Ray. Can't call his name right now, but you know, it was varying, man. You had a little bit of rap, a little bit of hip hop influence, a little bit of reggae. So that's what I mean by like house band. They can be like a Swiss Army knife. They, you know, depending on the audience, depending on their crowd.
Yeah. And their front man, I mean, if you want to say just like in terms of immortality, he was in this band. This is like they have a couple of hits that everybody remembers that are our age. And dude was, I mean, blink it and if you miss it, but he was in the Office finale in the United States. So that episode of television is probably one of the most watched, and he's going to be forever remembered for that too. And he got to play himself. So he was that famous, Steve. I don't know if that matters or not.
It's Mark McGrath's, man. You put some respect on it. And that same day, 95, Montel Jordan releases This Is How We Do It.
I couldn't tell you anything else on this album, Steve, but you know we all listen to this shit. I've roller skated to this song, Steve. Ohio Skate.
Thank you. Just like Soul for Real, Candy Rain. This is a part of that same era because that was just released a week prior. It would be This Is How We Do It.
Shabba-da-da-ba. I just have to keep saying that every time you say This Is How We Do It. Yeah, I mean, even if this was his only thing, and I'm not saying it is, Montel, I know you got more hits out there. You got a silky smooth voice. You got a nice cold demeanor. And this is one of the most memorable songs of the 90s. I know there's a lot, but it just like in terms of like long lasting.
Yeah.
This is like dictionary definition.
And I hope he was never one of those artists that got caught up in a shitty contract, because if things went out the right way, he should be good. His generations and generations, because That song is being played on commercials. They play that in arenas. They play it on the dance floor at skating rinks. They like it's such an applicable song. Like you could turn this is you could work out to this.
Yeah,
This is how we do it.
it's got a good beat. It's fat. It's got a nice
It's
pace to it, and you could dance to it. You could work out to it. You could drive to it. You can make love to it, Steve. And then in the middle of it, you can be like, "Yeah, this is how I do it."
this this is how we do it.
I love
And
that.
this is how we do it.
Nice. Okay. What's up, Howie? he if he doesn't do that on a regular basis, he's fucking up.
This is how we do it.
Shabba-dabba-ba-da-ba-da.
Oh, and I wouldn't be fair without mentioning something for the honeys.
Okay, I was gonna say there's one we're missing.
Something for the honeys.
Just
And he
dude.
starts off the album with that, man.
Mm. Also, just the style, dude. That Montel, he just is a smooth dude.
Just a suave MFA. At 1997, though, April 4th, Chasing Amy premieres. Holden and Banky are comic book artists. Everything's going good for them until they meet Alyssa, also a comic book artist. Holden falls for her, but his hopes are crushed when he finds out she's a Libyan.
She's into labia stuff. No, but I think when I first started getting into movies in general, uh, Kevin Smith was like one of my favorites. Clerks was coming out when I was like trying to like sort of get into movies and like be more into the making of them and stuff. Shout out to Pat Langendorfer. Him and I fucking love watching Kevin Smith movies. But this is one where, people say Clerks, Mallrats. I think this came after, this was before Mallrats, right?
Mallrats was 95. Clerks was 93 or 94, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then this was after Mallrats.
After Mallrats, yeah.
Yeah. But we get Jay and Silent Bob. And this is more of just like a small love story movie. I think now that we're kind of far away from it, just the idea that some guy just like finds out this chick he likes is a lesbian, and it's like kind of his move is to sort of make her not a lesbian, like turn her, I guess. That's a little strange, but I just think it's a good movie. Like it's like done well.
Well, I feel like at some point in a guy's life, he has had that kind of ego where he
Yeah.
runs into a girl or he doesn't even directly know her. He knows of her. They share the same circles. And he's probably thinking like, yeah, she just ain't tried this yet. Yeah, I can get her back. I can get her to switch
Shit.
teams mid season.
But this has a lot to love in it. I mean, I like Ben Affleck. People like to hate on him, but I think he's great in this. Him and Kevin Smith are a great team because they get each other, and Kevin Smith likes to use him to be funny, and he is funny. Jason Lee is great in this as Banksy. He's sort of really the comedy of this movie. He's constantly fucking with everybody. So fucking funny. We were talking about the black dude. I forget his name. Something X, Nat X, something.
In the movie.
Yeah. But he's like this guy who's faking the funk and making people think he's like this black militant dude, but he's actually just like a gay black dude that's writing comics and trying to make it. And it's one of my favorite parts of this movie is they're at like a comic book convention. There's a lot of funny shit that happens, but Banksy and Holden sit down in the audience. Nat's giving like this very big like speech about being black, like how comics sort of subjugate black people. Very like detailed. And at the end of it, it ends with people believing that this guy pulled a gun out, shot fucking Jason Lee, and like that's it. And I love the reality of that. Like this guy did this, and there wasn't just like massive amounts of cops that showed up.
Hooper X.
That's
Hooper X
what.
and
Okay, there we go.
And I failed to go through the casting, man. Directed by Kevin Smith, starring Ben Affleck, Joey Lauren Adams, Jason Lee, Dwight Ewell, who played Hooper X, Jason Mewes, Ethan Suplee, Casey Affleck, Brian O'Halloran, Scott Mosier, and Matt Damon. So Kevin Smith, I always love this when any director does this. Like they find their people, they find their posse, and they stay loyal to them. The posse stays loyal to, it's
Well, in this whole universe, he was one of the first people that got like, and I maybe not the first people, but he more sort of created this universe and would be like self-referential of it in his movies, like Jay and Silent Bob are in all of them. But they would talk about Holden and they would talk about these other people. Like in this, Joey Lauren Adams plays Alyssa Jones, who is the love interest, and in this, she's a lesbian. But then, as Ben Affleck's chasing her and trying to get her, and I think even getting her, there's this rumor that she was like this huge whore in high school, and he has to deal with that and like try to figure out. But like the guy that he says that she fucked, Ron something or Ron, I think that's actually Ben Affleck in Mallrats. The guy that's like, call me Tommy, call me Johnny.
Joey.
Yeah, I think that's that guy. So like they're referencing it. It's hilarious. And the speech that the guy gives, like, shit, I know Alyssa Jones. I mean, shit, I know Alyssa Jones. You see, just like Chinese finger cuffs. That guy, that guy's amazing. And that's one of Kevin Smith's buddies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's just one of his dudes from New Jersey. And I love that.
And Ben's little bro, he's at the beginning, man. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a tracer. Oh, I don't want my autograph from a tracer.
I want the guy who actually draws his stuff. Yeah,
That's a
dude.
tracer.
And the guy who called him a tracer, that was Scott Mosier. That was the guy who
Scott
produced the
Mosier.
movie. Hell yeah.
Fucking dirty motherfucker.
I really feel like that's one of the reasons why I kind of was like veered to Kevin Smith, because he did that, where it was like, oh shit, there's Dante from Clerks, or there's this guy, you know, and it was very nerd cool before that was the norm, you know?
Yeah. Saying shout out to Kevin Smith and the whole Ask You verse, man. But that same year, same day, Double Team premieres. An international spy teams up with an arms dealer to escape from a penal colony and rescue his family from a terrorist. Directed by Sui Hart, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dennis Rodman, Paul Freeman, and Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, I mean, this is like this is the 90s act. This should just call this 90s action movie, because it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
Acting's bad.
Yeah, I mean, Jean-Claude's the best. Well, no, Mickey Rourke's the best actor in this, but you know, he's got to add, like, he looks great when you compare him to the Worm, who's not good in this.
Yeah. Horrible. Like bad. Like Shaq is better. And
Yeah.
you know,
I like Kazam. It has everything that I want. It has Rodman jumping a motorcycle off of some gigantic building. It's got the thing I said that I love the 90s told us about, which was weapons dealers, specifically mostly illegal weapons dealers, have some kind of secret room or shelving that just displays guns in such a cool way. I don't even like guns, but if I could have a wall that looks like that, I would love that, because it looks super cool, Steve.
And they make up for it in this movie, despite the fact that it's a horrible movie. You know, it helps that it's Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman, man. Like the acting sucks, but it don't matter. It's Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
This is the formula. Pick an action guy, Jean-Claude. Fill in the blank the other way. Athlete, comedian, somebody who you wouldn't expect. And that's the formula. You know, Dane Cook did an action movie with I forget who it was. Maybe it was Jean-Claude. But, you know, I think if you're looking at the cover of this, that's the best thing. But you know what to expect. Enjoy yourself, because you're going to get Jean-Claude being very Jean-Claude. Dennis Rodman's in a plethora of insane outfits. I mean, there's a time in this movie where he's wearing what I believe some of the background extras in Demolition Man were wearing. Very futuristic, very scantily clad, but you know, it's Dennis Rodman, so that even tracks in that regard, honestly.
Well, you do know that was his inspiration for even doing all of this. Like Demolition Man, Wesley Snipes' character, that's why he started doing it. He really liked that character. He thought it looked cool. And I think I clocked about 6 different hairstyles on Dennis throughout this movie, man.
I mean, at one point he goes crazy from the get-go. But then, I mean, he gets like a Dick Tracy outfit, a very like subdued Rodman, because he is like an international like man of mystery, basically. Also, he's not only just an international arms dealer. You know, he's got to change up the look, which He does great. I mean, shout out. So, was this great? You know what movie this compares to, Steve? Remember the Vanilla Ice action movie, Cool as Ice?
Cool as ice.
It's on that level.
Yeah, you're basically he's bankable. You're getting him at the peak of his stardom, and I feel like they did that with Rodman, man, because this is '97. They are on their way to winning their second championship back to back for this 3 year stint, and beat the Jazz. He was doing the WCW NWO stuff, Rodzilla. He at one point had an MTV show. He had some shoes that were pretty popular. They zipped up on the side, some Nikes, very different, which I'm sure you would want from Rod for some Rodman shoes. They have to stand out. But yeah, '97. I feel like this is a time to make him a leading man, despite his lack of acting skills.
Also dicking down Hollywood's elite sexy women. Also, if you remember, I think Madonna, Carmen Electra got a little bit of the worm. No pun intended. So the guy was just killing it. In this movie, he's killing people, but, would this lead to a sequel? I mean, shit, if the money's right, Rodman will do anything. But, does it demand it? I don't know, Steve. We'll let the 90s be the judge of that.
We didn't really ask for this in the first place. But love you, Jean-Claude. Love you, Worm. Pause. On that same day, '97, The Saint premieres. Simon the Saint Templar is a thief for hire, whose latest job to steal the secret process for cold fusion puts him at odds with the traitor bent on toppling the Russian government, as well as the woman who holds its secret. Directed by Philip Noyce, starring Val Kilmer, Elizabeth Shue, and you know what? Not even going to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of Germans probably in this, a lot of foreign names, but we get a sexy Elizabeth Shue. I mean,
she is
to this day. She was in The Boys, that show, The Boys. It's really popular. Always just very sexy. You said you didn't really. I don't know if you remember this, but in terms of I wouldn't say cookie cutter, but this was just a '90s, just a nice '90s action movie. It's like PG-13. Nobody's getting offended. You get Val Kilmer in a plethora of outfits. He's playing tens, if not dozens, of characters. From a German with long voluptuous hair. He's always got a mustache. It's very Mission Impossible.
In one of them, he's just wearing a hat. I think
they can't all be winners, Steve. He's only got so many wigs. So. Yeah. But I remember liking this. I mean, I'm sure there's some ridiculousness to it, but it's just one of those movies where he's constantly running. At some point, Elizabeth Shue gets in the mix, and she's kind of into him, and he can't get attached because he's this guy. He has to constantly change who he is. He has no identity. He can't trust anybody, Steve, until Elizabeth Shue and those hot titties come, and that's where it really all comes clear for him. I mean, he becomes the same.
He saw in those panty draws. And, I've said this before, man, watching this, I swear he is related to JTT, like an uncle, his long lost dad, older brother. But man, if you see current day JTT, he looks like Val Kilmer with some extra pounds.
Yeah. I mean, Val Kilmer in the '90s, dude, Val Kilmer, shit. There's nobody fucking with that. God damn, I mean, he's a good actor. I mean, that's kind of what makes this movie. It could have been a shit action movie, but you got that smooth, Val Kilmer sexiness to it that it just adds a little something to it. I was watching Tombstone. I've been trying to watch that movie completely, but I just keep watching little bits and pieces of it. And I mean, dude, that guy was just annihilating those little bit parts, That's why he got the same, dude. He's so fucking. And one other thing I do remember just coming back to me, all the identities that he has in that movie are their names are Catholic saints. So he's throwing breadcrumbs out to people that are paying attention, Steve.
I feel like you had this in your collection back in the day.
Yeah, I had this for sure.
Definitely, man. And that following year, '98, SNL is airing the episode with musical guest Third Eye Blind and your host, Steve Buscemi.
Such a good, for this generation, this is such a good episode, Steve. We love Steve. We love a Steve in the show. That's obvious. This one, love it.
Man, and we did the does Matt love Matt's? We can't do that with Steve, man. That's its whole has its own
Mm-mm.
episode. It's by itself, man. But dude, this one is quotable. Just like, you couldn't wait till Monday to recite those TGIF lines, Def Comedy Jam. That was this episode, man. Goated.
Yeah, especially the one the Alice in Wonderland thing. You'll never get that out of your head once you watch that.
Oh
um,
my goodness.
some notable things that I found out while like watching and doing research. I guess this is the first show that Norm McDonald's just he left. So he's not in the cast. They've taken him out of the montage like the opening, and he's gone. And I hate that.
And he won't be the only one before the season ends, man. Mr. Brewer will soon be gone too.
My man, he's got some stuff to say about that. But what we do get in this like cold opening is Tim Meadows. He's front and center, and I love that. He's addressing the crowd, and SNL is sort of this beacon. Sort of they cover the news, they lampoon it, but you gotta some stuff is very sensitive. And right now, the Paula Jones scandal's going on with the Clintons, and NBC is just trying to figure out how to navigate this. You don't want to make too much comedy of it. You don't want to be too serious. So they've given you two options, which I love. There's NBC A and B, I guess.
NBCA, that is going to be hosted by Louis Lapham. I don't know who he is, but I guess he works with Harper's, whatever that
Harper's Bazaar. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
He's educated, basically. He's the educated take. He's giving you exactly the facts. And he's very buttoned up. He's very professional. He's very CBS.
CBS, yeah.
We'll
And NBCB or two, it's going to be jokes about Bill Clinton's dong.
I love he comes out. He's like, a lot of crazy stuff's about to go down. Fucking, I love this. What's his name? The guy playing Clinton. What is it?
Daryl Hammond.
Yeah, dude. What a great. This was so good. He did so good at this. If you couldn't have Phil, we couldn't. Phil's gone. Yeah, rest in peace. Literally. He killed this.
And he's an unsung hero, man. And now we see Daryl Hammond as Bill Clinton, and Hillary comes out, played by, I think she's Sherry O'Terry.
No, that's Sherry O'Terry. Yeah, Anna Gasteyer is Hillary. Sherry O'Terry is actually Paula Jones, I believe.
Yeah, and he's messing around with Lewinsky. He's messing around with Lewinsky, and then Hillary shows up, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?"
Cut, and then Hillary. And they keep cutting back. So you'll see like a little hint of a dong joke. Go back to Louis Lapham, and he's like, so the industrial military complex. And then you're like, this is boring. Cut back. Let's see what Clinton's up to. And then at one point, Sherry O'Terry was playing Paula Jones. She just shows up in the mix. And they're like, oh, what's going on, Paula? She's like, if you can't beat them, do them. And she's in the mix. It's a party.
I see Willie, but it ain't a Kathleen. And then they go back.
I was gonna say, Lewis. Doesn't Jana Reno show up right there? She's like, "Hey, what's up? It's Will Ferrell as Jana Reno."
Yeah, I think that's after they flip back to Louis Lapham. They come back and Jana Reno's there, and now they have a post-nut session. And it's Paula Jones, it's Lewinsky, it's Billy, and it's Jana Reno. And Go Boy is there too, because why not? Then they go back to Louis Lapham. He's saying some old like boring NPR PBS shit, and they cut back to NBC2, and now Oprah's here. Tim Meadows is playing Oprah, and she has a pizza box because she ate all the pizza.
Guess what, y'all? Then I think doesn't she just pull her wig off and it's OJ?
Well, they cut back to Louis Lapham again, and then cut back, and then like now everybody's under the rug, or at least Bill and Oprah, and he's like, hey, you sure can do more than talk. And she's like, yeah, I'm full of surprises. Pulls the wig off. And he's like, oh, it's
Oh, Norm would have loved that. He would have absolutely loved that. But again, what a great, just a great use of everybody. Everybody's killing this. I mean, Steve's not in the mix, but man, Daryl Hammond, man, what a great utility player for SNL. He just played so many great parts.
I just saw a clip on TikTok where he played Regis. His Regis is impeccable, man.
He's one
Like
of those
all the
people,
little,
dude. They get it. There's people that doing impersonations, like it really is like some kind of science to them, and they can figure out how to do anybody almost. It's wild.
I would love to know how their mind works. The Dana Carveys, the Daryl Hammonds, the Jay Farrows, Rich Littles, man. In the opening monologue with Steve Buscemi, man, he killed it in this. Like, I didn't know he had a background in improv comedy, um, unless this was a shtick. But
Well,
yeah, it's called the
I don't, if this is any indication, I don't know. I don't know, but I love Steve Buscemi's blasé attitude to the. He's like, so we're just we're gonna do a little improv acting. Let's get Will out here, Anna, Tim. We're just gonna do a couple of improv groups. So all we need is an idea, and people started giving him ideas, and he's like, oh, that's fucking stupid.
What about another one? Family reunion. Give me a break. Yeah. All right, let's freestyle. Let's give us a location. 7-Eleven. Oh, you mother.
Come on, Steve, just do it. And I love they start doing a scene, and then Steve Buscemi he can improv because he's like, hey, it's like, hey, can I get a beer? And like, why do I got to be Mr. Pink? And they're like, come on, dude, what the fuck? And he just keeps, no matter what, going into whatever the exercise is, it becomes something he's done. So whether it's Mr. Pink, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, but
Fargo or
yeah. Oh my God, I'm
Reservoir.
getting my leg put in a chop. I'm getting chopped up in a wood chipper. This is crazy. Like, come on,
That's
man.
not Mother Goose. That's Fargo.
The notes in IMDb said that Tina Fey is in this. I
Yeah.
missed it.
She was in the audience. She was one of the people that gave a suggestion.
Damn, I just totally missed that. I did not see her do that. But shout out Tina Fey. You'll be there. You'll get there one day.
I think one or two more years, man. One of my favorites. And I'm not good at this. People who like improv should be shot in the face. Who's Steve?
That's Steve Buscemi. But then we cut. This is a great one of these like ads. The Xerox AssJet 9000, Steve, the printer that it's made to not only copy anything, but especially that ass.
Ensures quality ass copying.
And I gotta say, Anna Gasteyer looking svelte in this. So those legs are looking nice.
The way she came off that Xerox, I saw that. Them thighs, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, who you with? Who you sleep next to at night? Shit. But
I love that though, and I've never done that. Have you ever copied your ass, Steve? I just never. I think I was too heavy. I'm always worried about that.
if I was that heady, there's other avenues. I just never had the opportunity because anytime I was near a copier, it would be in a work setting or school setting. So yeah, not trying to get expelled, not trying to get fired.
Hey Steve, I wanted to talk to you about that document. Oh, hey. Also, just speaking like just mechanically, if you're doing this, pants have to be all the way down. So if somebody does walk in, they're getting a full dong shot, and they're gonna have to see that ass come off the copier. So you're really into danger. I think that's the thing. It's like a P Diddy party. It's dangerous.
Ask that Xerox AssJet 790. They see me fuck. They know how I fuck. The Xerox AssJet 790, you can copy a big ass.
But I love SNL. Some of the best like fake commercials. They just nailed it. Colon blow. This. I mean, we could keep going, but the next skit. If you just had to assign one as like the placeholder for the episode, this is it. This is the memorable one, Steve.
This is it, man.
So,
And this is the one we quoted. The Mad Tea Party, the truly Mad Hatter ruins Tea Party of Alice in the Hair. Oh man.
And John Hurt, we get a cameo from, I think, Oscar award winning John Hurt. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but the dude is like a great actor. Maybe he's affiliated with Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. But he plays the Hare. Steve Buscemi is the Mad Hatter, and he's madtastically mad, Steve.
Marvelously mad. Wonderfully, fundifully mad.
I'm so mad I wash my hands 1,000 times a day because they smell like my mother. Hey, hey, what the hell, dude? What's that all about? What?
Just wonderfully mad.
I'm so mad I burned my penis with hot cigar butts. What?
There is something wrong with you. What? She wears hands on her feet. And I just burned my groin.
I'm scared. I love that just the progression of how they keep trying to get back. They're like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. You know, mad like I wear gloves. You know, not burn my penis with cigarettes. So they just keep getting disgusted. Alice is freaked out. And then the guy's a Mad Hatter, Steve. He had to escape from someplace, and he did because some people come to take him away. I've poisoned your tea. Ah! What a weird, like, how do you write that on paper? You know what I'm saying? How do you pitch that? It's got to be wild.
I built little race cars out of my poop. It's windingly madness.
Oh, but Steve Buscemi gets it. You know why I like Steve Buscemi? Not because of all the great like big parts he has, but all these weird little things. He'll do this. He'll do some weird shit like this. All those weird parts he plays in like Adam Sandler movies, like the homeless guy with the wonky eye and shit, where it's just he gets it, dude.
He's got the chops, and that's why I believed he had a background in improv, man, because the best hosts are either stand-up comics, former cast members, or people with just like a great sense of comedic timing, man. And throughout this episode, the man kills it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Next skit, another great recurring skit from this generation, Morning Latte. Shout out to David Allen Greer, who had the best version of this, where it goes to insane levels and they kill him and like take his head off. But Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry, it's such a great combination. I don't know if we've said that enough, but like those two together, just so much fun and so many different skits.
I think it's the first time that's been said on this show, man, but it's true though. I mean, obviously the Spartan cheerleaders and then this. I mean, I'm sure there are other examples, but those are the main two, man.
And this one, they're like, and they're like daytime TV talk show hosts. This is what you expect, like these like banal, like regional, wake up Cleveland type situations. And I love like just some of the back and forth they have before Steve Buscemi comes out. And Augusta was like, yeah, you know, I saw Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams, not funny. Not funny. Like they just don't get it. They just say stupid shit constantly.
Hundreds of people died, but God bless El Nino.
And they bring Steve Buscemi on. Steve plays Grease musical movie superfan because he comes together like ding-a-ding-ding-dong. He's one of those guys. He's got the jacket. He's got the hair. He's got a couple of books, and he loves Grease, Steve. Grease is the word.
Seen it 5,000 times. He even has Frenchie's Grease scrapbook.
And he gets pissed off when just like anybody besmirches Grease. They talk about a pelican at some point, and he's like, Danny Zuko would have fucking hated a pelican. God damn it. Like he's just getting pissed. He gets more pissed the more this goes on.
Yeah, and then they having a side chat, Will and Sherry, and like she's telling him about like how she went to the movies, and Will's like, with your husband? No, I'm divorced, but I took my nieces. Oh, you took your nieces because you can't have children? Yep, my uterus is collapsed.
and it's flipped inside out, Steve. Collapsed inside out. Collapsed. It's just feel it.
Alfie, feel it. Alfie, feel it. I'm no gynecologist, but I'm a greaseologist.
And I'm bored to hand job, baby. Oh God, people like that give me the creeps. But Alfie finds out that not only has he been allowed to come on the show and just praise Grease, he gets to meet one of his idols, Diddy Khan, who played, I believe, Rizzo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that big into Grease, but Diddy comes on. He's like, "Oh my God, Diddy, look at this! I got the jacket. I got the lady jacket. I got the pink shit, whatever they're called." And Didi's like, "Yeah, great story." And she starts talking to Sherry O'Terry and Will Ferrell, and the whole time, like Buscemi's like, "Hey, but he can't get in," and it's killing him inside, Steve.
Because he's there for Grease, and they're asking her about her other credits. Yeah, you were on Benson. I remember when you gave birth on the elevator. Oh, and then Love Boat. You were on Love Boat too. And I think they asked Alfie / Steve Buscemi about one of these things, and he's just like, "She's the beauty school dropout from Greece, you stupid bitch."
That's basically the exclamation on every one of these skits. The guest always loses it on this bitch. And he's like, he blew it, Steve. Didi Khan thinks he's a bitch. Alfie leaves. I mean, he's just like, this is crazy. She's the beauty school. I gotta go. So cross him off the list. But I love Morning Latte. And then we cut to another skit that I forgot about, Goth Talk, Steven. This is another great skit that I forgot about. Cersei Nightshade and Azrael Abyss.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Chris Kattan, man. Another great utility player on this show. But Goth Talk is like a high school TV show where these two kids are goths, conveniently enough. And in this episode, they're at the high school because prom is happening, but they have their own special goth prom, Steve, that they want to show the viewers. What was it called?
Prom of Doom.
Yeah, it's a fearful and fiendish prom of doom. And I love Chris Kattan's look at this. He looks very goth, Steve. He looks like the goth in South Park, like the main one.
For sure. And they go to the boiler room. That's where this prom of doom is held. And he says, "It's very evil. It smells like the sultry fumes of hell." And then Steve Buscemi pops up. He's like, yeah, that's the boiler. When it really gets going, it starts to smell like farts down here. Yeah.
And Buscemi's playing Tony the janitor, a.k.a. Tony Baloney, who we come to find out. And Tony just keeps coming back. I mean, this is his boiler room, so he's going to be in and out. But he'll keep coming in and just throwing in zingers. But before that happens, we meet another goth that constantly is in this, Baron Nocturnal, played by Will Ferrell, he's kind of taken the Titanic song and given it a little goth twist, Steve. Near, far, wherever. That's just the Titanic song. You didn't let me get to it.
My heart will go on. A plate.
It will chill you to the marrow. He's very Vincent Price about it. But Baron Nocturnal's rocking a Casio rap, man, which I love. And it's a very digitized, I love it. I'd listen to it. I like it more than the Orig, honestly.
Tony Baloney's feeling it. But
hey, are you guys into porno?
Yeah. Hey, you getting into porno?
Jim Brewer shows up and he's playing Chris Kattan's, I guess, like older brother, because he's like, "Hey, Tony, did you get those beers that we were talking about? Hey, shut up, man." He's like pushing Chris Kattan and so, "Shut up, dude, you loser." He comes in and I forget, we found out his name. I forget what his name is. But we find also out that they actually have a plan for this other prom. The goth prom wants to basically pull a Carrie, and just spill blood everywhere on everybody. but they just don't have any blood. But luckily, Tony's like, hey kids, I got some blood if you need any. I got all kinds of blood over here. Whatever you need, pig, pig.
Yeah. And now that Jim Brewer, he's got his Rolling Rock, and he's like, he tells Sherry O'Terry his days like, I'm about to go on the crap and drink some beer. Just wait for me. And while he's doing that, Steve Buscemi, he comes into the mix, Tony Baloney, and he's like, you know what, I'm a keeper company.
And he's also like, man, it's getting hot in here. Let me just get me these pants off. And they're like, hey, dude, Tony, what the fuck, dude? He's like, chill, guys. It's not like I don't got underwear on. Oh, looks like I don't got underwear on. Hello.
Hey,
Chris
what's up?
Kattan's like, oh my God, Tony Baloney's naked. And that's it. They got to cut, Steve, before an Amber Alert gets called out on Tony Baloney.
And we have a very special TV funhouse on this episode. It's Tidy, in Disney's cheerful spin on Titanic using celebrity voices. And it's the real Jason Alexander, Whoopi Goldberg, Gilbert Godfrey, and Molly Ringwald as Anne Frank. What the fuck?
Tidy's, this is Tidy, Steve. He's the little, I guess, boat that could. And I want to watch this. Please make this.
Don't miss this movie or your child will hate you. And the next skit is Stuff We Made, with the host Steve Buscemi and Jim Brewer showing their crappy and creepy constructions.
Yeah. John is kind of like he's the regular one, played by Jim Brewer. And then there's Greg, not so normal. And Greg always he's making some weird shit, Steve. The first thing he makes is something called a Scare Jeff. And it's kind of what you think. It's a scarecrow, but it's not made to scare birds. It's made to scare Jeff, the guy who's dicking his wife down,
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't look scary at first. Maybe that's the lighting, but I usually put on a leather mask and play German techno music while I taunt him with it. It usually gets him going.
And all you need is a stick, some green felt, and some Google eyes, and a Rammstein album, I guess, and a GIMP mask, and you're good to go.
And then you wait for Jeff.
Yeah, John, we got to see what he made. He made a napkin holder. Took him about 6 months, which you're like, this is just some popsicle sticks. But it's not, Steve. He took actual wood, made those little popsicle sticks, and made that little napkin holder. And I got to say, looks like it holds napkins pretty well. I like it.
Yeah. I like the little snafu that he called attention to, and he corrected it on air. He's like, yeah, I sanded it down with some sandpaper, but you got what I was saying.
Back to Greg, because Greg didn't just stop at the Scare Jeff. He made a wallet, Steve. And this is a wallet that you make to protect your wallet, because that's a problem. And basically, the mechanics of this is you buy a bunch of wallets, you sew them together until you got a wallet big enough to hold your wallet, and then you're good to go.
It doesn't fit in your pocket, but it does fit in the front seat of your car.
Yeah. And Greg also made a mini ghost squirrel bike for his dolls. And this is more of a sinister thing this is like a good son thing where kill some squirrels with a pen, get their skulls, put them in some Clorox. Then you find a nice bike toy because he didn't make the bike. It's just that little squirrel thingamajig on the front. And, just toss a squirrel skull on top and you got yourself a nice little squirrel ghost bike. And what this is for other than scaring a potential lover, I don't know, Steve. You tell me.
He also has a message for those squirrel skull souls. You back off. Back off. Calling my name at night.
So possibly call some authorities to arrest Greg, but a great skit. I love it.
And this is a weekend update. I don't believe this is the first Colin Quinn posted, but you could tell that he's still trying to find his footing, because the guy who was previously the host, probably one of the more popular, especially at the time. And now it's the new guy. It's kind of like the guy who took over shooting guard after Mike left and played baseball. It's like,
yeah, you're filling in. You're trying to fill in for a giant, which, I mean, Norm's my favorite. I think we've talked about that, but Colin, I don't know, he's not my favorite and by any means, but I always just dug that he did the funny stand-up comedian thing when a joke's not going well, just like bringing attention to it and just like making a joke out of that almost. And he's great at that. You know, he's got sort of this deadpan delivery. And even if he
Yeah.
doesn't get what he wants, he gets what he wants, you know?
And it works because he's like, he's so New Yorker, so like matter of factly, like, oh, that joke sucked. Yeah, don't give me credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is all just leading to us getting Tracy Morgan at his finest, playing Reggie White, who I guess in this time and period in real life had made some racist statements on a radio show or something.
No, this was in Congress. This was at the. I don't know if this was. I don't know if this was for like the local town he was at or for Wisconsin, but maybe I didn't pay attention because I hate the Packers. But they actually have this on his 30 for 30 when he was trying to bring about change and his intentions were good, but the speech that he gave was just so drawn out, and it was just more opportunity for him to put his foot in his mouth because it started off well, and then he just kept saying some things. I think some gay stuff. He said something about gays, and because he's a religious guy.
Yeah.
Reggie White, he was a preacher, so you're going to get some of that too, man. And so that's what lead us to Tracy Morgan's impression, man, which is so fucking hilarious.
Well, he wants to set the record straight. He's upset, Steve. He's upset just as anybody about what's going on here because he didn't get a chance to go in on those stinky ass Samoan people. I mean, he did not get the opportunity.
Dirty, filthy, stupid Samoan.
He's just a little bit worried about being misunderstood. And first of all, he wants to be crystal clear about his hatred for. I'm just gonna quote it. Can we quote it, Steve? Can we just agree?
Quote it. Yeah.
And I'm just crystal clear about his hatred for midgets. The Bible does, in fact, according to Reggie, condemn midgetry, and he believes it was Jesus or maybe it was God who said, and I quote, "I will not midgetify myself." So it's right there, Steve. It's in the text. So I don't even know if we can get in trouble about that.
You ever see a midget in a suit? That is nasty.
Also, take gypsies. They're good at lying and stealing stuff. So those are two things he just wanted to clear up. And I just love, as he says that, he takes a second and he's just like, gypsies and midgets, man.
The way he said it, man, gypsies and midgets, man.
You know who else I hate? Them tall midgets you see walking around. You mean people? Yeah.
I really hate them.
This is so Tracy Morgan too. Like this is him all through and through. And what a juggernaut of a dude. Usually SNL, you don't know the people, but like we knew who Hustle Man was.
Yeah.
Like how long into comedy do you think he was before he got SNL? It had to be forever.
It was a good little minute, man, because he did Martin. He was on another show called Uptown Saturday Night, which is where Monique got her start as well as Michael Blackson. Uptown Comedy Club. But next is the musical performance from Third Eye Blind, and it's How's It Going to Be? It's their only musical performance. I never cared for Third Eye Blind or knew anyone who cared for him, but you had some context as to why this was their only performance.
Well, it just seemed like he had a shitty attitude. Like it was their only performance, and I think if somebody's, I don't know how many hits Third Eye Blind had, but they're a name, so maybe if they weren't on SNL, there was a reason. So when I saw him, he looked bored. In this performance, he opens with his fucking hands in his pockets and performs for like a good solid minute with his hands in his pockets. The song's not, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe some people like this shit. I'm not that into it. But when we get to the closing, that's where I was like, this lead singer guy, I think there's some shenanigans. I think this guy's got an attitude, Steve.
Yeah, he's feeling himself too hard.
Yeah.
And the next skit, though, man, my goat, my female goat, Sherry O'Terry is playing Judge Judy, and she's overseeing a case with a hip hop dance instructor, and somebody suing the instructor. Tracy Morgan as the bailiff.
The judge is married, but she ain't dead.
Judge is a flirt.
Yeah, again, another thing where he quietly steals the show. I mean, this is a hilarious. Sherry O'Terry is great in this, but he just has like one or two just fucking spears that just like is funnier than anything else. You know?
I swear, man, if you looked at these performers, the past and present cast members as baseball, and like look at the skits that they're in as like their batting average. I feel like the best he has one of the best batting averages. Even like this is a perfect example. He didn't have much to say. His part was pretty small, but the part that he did do, he kills it. I feel like him, Chris Farley, Will Ferrell, they have to be top of the list, man.
Kiss a doo-doo pie. Like, I mean, dude just had kill. He was a killer, man, for real. I mean, if you could look at his whole career and say that, because even in Martin, he wasn't in it but a couple minutes total. But every time he's in it, it's one of the you remember it. I have a fucking shirt for one of his episodes and that shit. So, I love me some Tracy Morgan. She a flirt, but Anna Gasteyer is she's the plaintiff, Steve, and she hired a Mr. Haggerty, which is Steve Buscemi, who looks hilarious in this, aka Bust a Move Incorporated, to just basically teach her how to dance for her son's wedding. And I guess she's suing for damages because Mr. Haggerty, he can't dance, Steve. Even with all the credentials, all the qualifications, he just can't dance. Hey.
Like I always loved it when somebody tried to interject and Judge Judy would say something crazy. I'll grind the organ when I want the monkey to dance, okay?
hey, shut up. She's very, I mean, that was Judge Judy. That's why we all loved watching that show. But she asked Mr. Haggerty what his qualifications are. One, been to a lot of dance clubs. So, I mean, right away, you're dealing with a legend. And two, he studied in the U.S. So I don't know what that means really, but I do. And he's just like, look, guys, credentials are credentials, but the proof is in the pudding. So if you don't mind, if the judge will allow, let me just bust a move real quick. And it's just the most whitest, hey, Carlton dance that you can think of.
It's the white tornado.
Everybody say, hey.
Getting jiggy down. And then he even has the rump baby bumper, takes off his jacket, getting loose. And, Anna Gasteyer, she's had enough. They're about to wrap up the case. And, Judge Judy's like, look, I was a regular at Studio 54 in the 70s, all right? I know my way around the dance floor. All right, you can dance. Not only can you cut a rug, you can shake it and throw it out the window.
Give me an encore. Hey. I mean, we could all learn a lesson from Steve Buscemi's dance moves. That's my go-to, Steve. Stiff, just white dancing with a little just, hey.
Pull that off? See, I told you, you can at least do that.
Yeah, of course.
And that will suffice.
Well, I'm not going to do it, though. It's too embarrassing, Steve. I just get in my own head, but someday I'll unleash the white tornado on you.
Now, pause.
Yeah.
My favorite, I think it's like 1A and 1B. Like the best skit was the Mad Tea Party. This was my second favorite, man. The job interview, and Steve Buscemi plays a volatile interviewer, and Chris Kattan comes in seeking a job. It starts off on a bad note.
What is this? Is this John? Is that you? No, my name's Mike. What are you reading?
How you doing? I'm all right.
Jeez, God. Hey, Steve.
You asking?
What is this? Yucca? Ukla? What is this? I've never even heard of this. No, it's UCLA. It's a school. Never heard of it.
Was that a club?
I heard of Pepperdine. Why don't you go there? What?
Because I went to UCLA. Well, I know that now, but why don't you go to Pepperdine?
Fucking stupid. This guy's a fucking knob. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
God. Smell. Have you ever had a weird job interview sort of like this though?
Never.
Dude, I had one time, and hilariously enough, it was at like to be in like a corporate office for this place called Menchie's in LA. That's like a frozen yogurt, like like serve yourself frozen yogurt stand places. But the guy, I walk in right, and the guy's like built. He looks like he's in the military, and he was. He told me, but for a solid 3 minutes, when I was like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." He stared at me and didn't say a word. I'm not even joking. Like for like 2 solid minutes, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. And after like I broke the silence, I was like, "Is everything okay? Like, are we good?" And he's like, "Oh no, I just like to see like your reaction whenever like I put you in an uncomfortable spot." I'm like, "Man, what the fuck is this?"
For a frozen yogurt job?
Yeah, to work in the corporate office of a frozen yogurt place. I don't even get to make the yogurt, Steve. This motherfucker's trying to big. I just remember walking out of there like, maybe I just don't like, I don't belong in society, I don't think. Because I don't know I should have just slapped the guy and left, and it was this vibe. Just like, what? So what? So wait, you want to work here? All right. Well, it was fine. What's your whole thing about?
Matt, it's not all about what's here. It's about what's here.
Okay. And I like then he goes into like this thing about his ex who had like a rod in her leg and she didn't fuck. And he's like,
Yeah.
you know what, man? Now I've turned, and he doesn't ever remember the guy's name. He's like, so John, like, tell me more. He's like, my name's Mike, dude. Like, it's Mike. My name's Mike.
But the way you wrote it down, it looks like John. All right, you know what, John? I'm not going to hire you. Wait, why? Because I don't like you. I'm getting this weird vibe. But if you want to continue the interview, we can. It's like,
why would I
stay here? I'm not getting the job.
You know what? You got the job. You're hired. Rehired, raise. What?
Yeah. All right, you start tomorrow, John.
And then the lady who I forget who comes in, but he's like, "Look, you're not gonna get this job, but if you just want to hang out, like that's totally fine. That's cool."
So when was the last time you had sex, John? And that lady is Natasha Henstridge. Who,
yes, Species, right? She's in the
possibly,
movie Species where she fucks. She's an alien who fucks. I mean, it's definitely her.
Okay, was that the same one with Charles S. Dutton?
I don't know. I don't know.
I got them mixed up.
She's in a movie. I knew that was her because I was like, why did they get the chick from Species? But hey,
it's a random cameo, and like I guess nobody in the audience clocked it because usually when there's a cameo, there's an applause. But maybe they weren't doing that thing in the '90s just yet.
I mean, she wasn't that big of a star. Maybe they were just like, who's this beautiful woman?
She's hot, yeah. And the next skit is I took a gay guy to prom. Anna Gasteyer, like basically the women of the cast, they remember their queer beaus.
Lifetime presents touching stories about women who took gay guys to prom. Anna's had a couple. I mean, she's taken a bunch. She took a gay guy to prom. She dated a gay guy. Molly Shannon plays like an old woman of like the old lady from Titanic age. She's like, I dated a man named Skip Swearinger, and my mother said he has one hand wrapped around the maypole, and I was like, what does that mean?
That young man buzzes with the fruit flies.
What? He's a gay man.
He's homosexual. He doesn't like women. And then she gets the names mixed up. Yeah, it's Robert Mitchum. I thought you said it was Skip Swearinger. Yeah, President Eisenhower. Yeah.
And Lifetime is television for women and gay men, Steve, which they tell you right at the end. So this tracks. Meredith Baxter Burney's mentioned in this, and she was, I don't know why, but that name is always associated with Lifetime. So she must have been a star on that channel.
The owner of that channel must have really loved Family Ties or something. But the common thread amongst all these stories, that person was a really good listener. That's why they chose him.
Listen so well for so long. But Robert Mitchum, Eisenhower, Taft, they've all, these women have had them all, I guess.
And the next skit, it's pretty short and simple, man. It's Jim Halsey's truck driving museum.
You see her, I mean, it's just him. It's Will Ferrell just going rapid fire about like truck part names, and Steve Buscemi trying to double dutch in, but he never gets a line out, I don't think.
He doesn't like, but like the stuff that Steve Buscemi is doing is what made this skit funny because I think Will Ferrell's doing all of the talking about this
Yes.
Kenworth RX 40 TD. And
This upholstery, top notch. The cams on this, they're 7 millimeter diameter. The power thrust, and it's just like rapid fire, like technical knowledge and what Steve's doing. It's like a guy nervously trying to say something and he can't, and then he settles into just smiling politely at the end. I think he's just like, yeah, this guy's getting it. He gets it.
I let you have at this one, man. The Lost Deep Thoughts by Jack Andy.
And we all love this, and this is just a nice, short and sweet one. And it's instead of crucifying a guy on a cross, what about a windmill? That way you get the pain and the dizziness.
Love that.
They had to publish these in like a printed form. There had to be a Jack Candy book.
I think there is a book.
Yeah, I would love that.
Sure.
Somebody Christmas wish that or Christmas list that. So I need that in my life. And then we get the good night, Steve. And this is where I gotta say, guy from Third Eye Blind. If an actor makes it to SNL, this is a highlight of their career. Stop talking over him while he's trying to say goodbye to America. No one gives a shit about your ass band. Third Eye Blind. I'm blind to him, Steve. I don't give a fuck how's it gonna be.
Third Eye Blind and John Cena.
Rewatch it. I'm telling you, this guy went. Maybe he was trying to holler at Natasha Henstridge because she was right there too. But dude, let Bush. This dude's a legend. Let Mr. Pink have his fucking goodbyes, and then you can try to get some trim.
At the after parties, because I know they do that in SNL. And a goated episode, man. The SNL episodes we've covered, they're all goated, man. The Michael Jordan, the Jim Carrey, even the Steven Seagal, that's not goated, but it's infamous.
It's like Shockmaster. It's so bad, it's hilarious.
It's been talked about.
It's infamous. But yeah, I mean, the Mad Hatter thing, I never forgot that since I saw it when this came out, because I saw this episode for sure. And I mean, that just stuck in my head. And it's fantastically mad. Ha ha ha!
Windingfully mad. And that same day in 1998, Cat Dog premieres on Nickelodeon. The life and times of a cat and dog with a unique twist. They're connected, literally. Adding to their dilemma is Cat's annoyance with Dog, mainly caused by Dog's stupidity and Cat's uptight personality.
I was just checked out of Nickelodeon. I didn't catch this. I knew about it. I know the image, but I don't know if this is good or bad.
Oh, it lasted for a good while, man. I mean, we were just 14 and I think we were pretty much done with Nickelodeon. Even the teenage stuff, the all that's and the Keenan and Kells. I mean, at this point I wasn't checking for it. I was, trying to decipher the scatter visions in my free time. And this is the first Nicktoon to air 5 times a week. They basically took Ren and Stimpy and went the opposite of that trope, where instead of the cat being a dummy and the dog being the smart one, and what Cat Dog did is more realistic because dogs kind of have that persona of being slow and stupid, and the cat seems to be more wise. But
I mean, it had to last for a reason. I just have never seen it. I've like I said, it's obviously very popular, but I'm a fucking Ren and Stimpy guy. If I got to do dogs and cats, throw me that. I want to see some disgusting close-ups.
Yeah, some crude John K shit. And that following year, 1999, the final episode of Women: Stories of Passion airs on Showtime. And do you remember this, Matt?
No, I didn't have. Showtime was like it was even more than HBO. So I never had any Showtime, but it sounds like something Matt would have loved to, hang out with himself and just kind of sort of enjoy, you know?
Yeah, like I totally missed this one, man. It's various short stories about women and their sexual fantasies. 3 seasons, 39 episodes, and some of it's available online, but they're available on certain sites that probably couldn't watch at work.
Okay.
Yes, they have full episodes on like X videos shit. Because when I googled it, it was like, all right, type in women's stories of passion, full video, full episode, and then they basically sent me to porn sites.
So then you got to see. I mean, I gotta say, the one chick behind you looks weirdly like Lilith from Frasier. No, the other
And
one.
I likes me some Lilith. I was thinking she looked like Dana from Step by Step. My baby mama,
Yeah, Stacy. I
Stacey
sent you a
Keenan.
pic. Stacy Keenan's holding up, Steve. Of all the
Yeah,
children from that family and that TV show, her and Al. Who would have thought?
who would have thought? Well, I
But
knew. I knew.
women of passion, though. I mean, what was going on in this one? Is this like two Russian comrade? My pussy is so wet. I need you to lick it. Like, what is this?
Come and scissor me. Oh man. Apparently Robert Zemeckis' wife was in one episode. I mean, shout out to Robert Zemeckis. I mean, to pull a wife that's hot enough to do something like this. I'll have to Google her later, but
I mean, if you're dating somebody that's doing quote unquote porn, this is the type that you want them to be doing, which is just like grind porno, where it's like if you were trying to do the math of what you're seeing, like no one's fucking like that. No one's doing the kind of fucking that they're showing. So, there's no insertion. A lot of girl on girl stuff, which was the thing back then. That was like for me, that was my like go to. If I could find that, Steve, that was the delicious treat. So I'd be all in. This show, I wish I had Showtime because goddamn.
well, I told you how you can access it now, but I don't want to push that on people. It's a hard habit to break. Um, Mind if I lay down on this psych chair? No, mind. Anyways, somebody who probably didn't watch that in 1999 is American baseball player and sportscaster Early Wynn, died at the age of 79.
Early, early win.
Early Wynn.
There he
You know,
is.
what if I hope I don't get crucified for this, man. What if he died from watching women stories of passion? And that's what oh, it's the last episode. I ain't got much time left. Let me get it out now.
Hold on.
TiVo isn't out.
Early, dinner's ready. Shh, I'll be right up. Hold on. Comrade, let me put your missile into my missile silo. Oh, I mean, he could have, Steve. I almost had a heart attack just watching Skinamax myself. So you can only imagine this guy, probably some high blood pressure. He's an old baseball player, probably. So he's probably smoking stogies and shit, living that tough life. So a nice jack sesh to Women of Passion or whatever it was called. I mean, it might have done it. He might have figured it out, honestly. Or maybe it was a choke jerk. Maybe he accidentally killed himself choking, like, doing one of those, like a David Carradine search.
Or he was so overwhelmed by the debut of Cat Dog, he just could not believe it. He couldn't like, oh my, they're Siamese twins.
They're connected. Oh, oh, God, no. Heaven and hell. What's real?
Shout out to Early Win, R.I.P. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
Well, Steve, we talked about it last week a little bit. And I just have to say, for those who aren't watching it, from somebody who loved the 90s and loved the original show, the X-Men cartoon that they're putting out, great. If you can do it the way they're doing it, bring back all the shit we love because they're doing it right. They didn't have to fucking change it. People saying it's woke and shit. I have no idea what that's about. But check it out. And I love X-Men. I'm glad it's on a resurgence. It deserves it. It to me is the greatest comic book property of all time. And I'm just happy that they haven't fucked something up royally like they do time and time again. Speaking of which, I think maybe this isn't a fuck up. But I read recently that they're bringing back Bad Boy for a fourth one, and they're really trying to just dry that well up to whatever they can. Because I didn't even see the third one, Steve.
Yeah, I haven't watched the third one. I only watched the second one once. But
It's
I mean, it's
good.
Martin and Will, man. You know, I'll make it to those. I'll definitely be more inclined to watch those than any of the Fast and Furious. I
A
stand on that.
motherfucker flipped. Martin kills it. He's Bad Boys, the 1 and 2. I know we all love Will Smith. Love you, Will Smith. You know, pause. But Martin, he's the reason for the season. He's killing it. My wife said it. She's like, this movie would be shit if he wasn't in it. And I salute that. That's correct. So, hey guys, this is Matt's rambling 90s diatribe. Steve, what about you?
Man, two items, man. One in 1996. Speaking of Tracy Morgan, Martin is airing the episode "Martin, I Want to Sing," and Pam's cousin is very talented, and you know Martin is trying to get her to a record label, trying to get her signed to a record label, and he wants to be the manager. And at one point, Tracy Morgan, aka Hustle Man, comes in, and he's got like this like janky looking kazoo. And he's like, pick up the pieces, pick up the pieces. That's one of the things that live rent free in my head forever, man. Man, you had me going, man, with the pick up the pieces. And then, like, and then also, man, I want to bring attention to Louis Gossett Jr. passing away over the week, and he was a legend. You know, his career is just highly esteemed, from A Raisin in the Sun, JD's Revenge, An Officer and a Gentleman with you know, hamster butt, and Jaws. Well, Iron Eagle. He was in Jaws, but it was Jaws 3D. Iron Eagle 2, Diggstown, Blue Chips. He was in that. He was cameoing in Good Times, a couple of different shows in the 70s, man. And also Roots. He was Chicken George. So RIP, man, and shout out to him. You definitely be missed. You left an impact on not only pop culture, but just on the world, man. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your little sister, if you were from Perrysburg, then you would know that I gotta get mine in a big black truck. You can get yours in a 6-4. Check out Food Show Fanatics with Matt and Kendra. Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra B and our guy Clark the Shark, the councilman, on Podcastle. And this is Steve G and Matt G with Happen in the 90s.
Alyssa Jones? Shit, I know Alyssa Jones. I mean, I know Alyssa Jones.